And yes, you can. Hi friends, I'm Les Mood, your host. Welcome to the Energy Independent Show, where we cover product reviews, interviews, and hot energy news. SPI Solar Power International, SPI ESI, starts its third week this week. Make sure you don't miss it. South Korea shows its solar power innovation on a bike trail. Miles of bike trails are observed by solar panels. Not only is power provided, shade is as well. The solar shade canopy over the bike trails is killing two birds with one stone, so to speak, across the world. As societies adjust to the impact of COVID-19, we are seeing new interest in bicycles, e-mobility, and electric vehicles. This is the kind of innovation and approach we need to get inspired to literally move forward. Electricity, or we-tricity, can be wireless, shows how we can have wireless mobility. Wouldn't it be great if we had solar panels and wireless charging available alongside and on roads for our electric vehicles? If we could combine the South Korea solar trail example along with other possible plans to cover the Autobahn with solar, we could literally have solar and wireless charging for e-mobility. Here we see we-tricity and Qualcomm show how there can be a more efficient transportation system with wireless EV charging. This leads to fewer stops and shorter travel time. This could also lead to smaller onboard batteries and therefore lower vehicle costs. This is great innovation we can keep an eye on. California's Canoe released a video Thursday showing its bare skateboard platform being driven around like a giant go-kart. The EV startup also released more details of its platform and powertrain in an accompanying press release. The skateboard platform can be driven around without bodywork because it contains all of a vehicle's mechanical components, including the motors, battery pack, steering gear, and suspension. This helps free up passenger space and makes it easier for Canoe to launch different models by simply placing a new body atop the skateboard. Founded by former Faraday Future staff in 2017, Canoe plans to offer its electric cars exclusively through a subscription service starting in Los Angeles in 2021. Its first model is a van-like vehicle with a single rear-mounted motor, 300 horsepower, and a 200-mile range. Canoe plans to follow that up with 3 other models, including a delivery van and a sporty car. Inphase Energy welcomes Christopher Lando, U.S. Ambassador to Mexico, to Made in Mexico event. Fremont, California reported Inphase Energy Incorporated, a global energy technology company and the world's leading supplier of solar microinverters, today announced it hosted a Made in Mexico event yesterday at the Flex manufacturing facility in Guadalajara, Mexico. The company was honored to welcome Christopher Lando, the U.S. Ambassador to Mexico, to the event as he received a facility tour and overview of Inphase's investment in Mexico. Top Gear shares the news. Ford MachE GT does 0 to 62 miles an hour in 33.7 seconds. Set to land late next year, the flagship version of Ford's first ground-up EV has twin e-motors with all-wheel drive and a very healthy 459 base horsepower. That means 0 to 62 miles per hour in just 3.7 seconds with the US-style 1-foot rollout, which Ford says equals its arch-rival, the Tesla Model Y. Range sounds good too. Ford is targeting up to 310 miles if you behave halfway sensibly. It says a normal all-wheel drive Mach-E should manage 335 miles of range, while the most efficient rear-wheel drive model could achieve up to 379 miles. You'll also get 5 years of free access to the Ford Pass charging network, which lets you find, to navigate to, and to pay for public charging flat at no more than 155,000 charging stations around Europe with the single app. Clean Tech News breaks the good news. It's official. Consumer Reports confirms EV owners spend half as much on maintenance. Data is king when it comes to information on the frequency of repairs on automobiles. Consumer Reports has more data than anyone. For its latest report, it did a deep dive into the data from its 2019 and 2020 reliability surveys of electric and gasoline-powered vehicles. After crunching all the numbers, Consumer Reports says drivers of electric vehicles are saving an average of 50% on maintenance and repair over the life of the vehicle compared to owners of gas-powered vehicles. Electrics just don't need as much maintenance on as gas-powered cars, and even though repairs won't necessarily be less expensive, they are less frequently needed, explains Gabe Shinhar, Associate Director of CR's Auto Test Center, which specializes in electric vehicle testing. In addition to being easier and cheaper to maintain, many EVs deliver a better acceleration compared to gas-powered vehicles and don't pump harmful pollution into our air. The Hindu Business Line reports India gets set to transition to the next phase of renewable power capacity RE 3.0. With the green energy capacity exceeding 15% of total installed power, there is considerable stress on the country's national grid. The large gaps in minimum base demand and peak demand adds to the grid management woes. According to experts, in order to match the staggered energy generation, the renewable sector needs to shift from intermittent supply to round-the-clock supply with gigawatt-scale storage capacity. Already saturated with standalone renewables, discords are facing difficulty in absorbing excess renewable energy during the day and supply back to the grid in the evening and early morning hours. One can foresee we are heading towards a shift from traditional power contracts to flexible energy contracts with battery storage and pumped storage backup for round-the-clock power. According to Arab News, Afghanistan signs $160 million renewable energy deal with US, Turkey, and India. Solar, photovoltaic, and wind power projects signed by Afghanistan under a $160 million international deal on Wednesday evening will add 110 megawatts to the country's grid in the next 16 months, officials said. The projects will be developed in Kabul, Balkh, and Harar by a local company with partners from Turkey, India, and the US Agency for International Development. With the implementation of these projects, we will not only witness improvement in the energy sector, but in other areas, as energy is the basic need for the improvement of other sectors. Lima Khorram, Policy and Development Chief of the Afghan Finance Ministry, told Arab News on Thursday. We will also see the development of other major sectors. This is not only good news for the citizens, but all of the investors and entrepreneurs too, she said. DW.com reports Bavaria's solder calls for ban on combustion engines by 2035. Bavarian leader Markus Söder, head of the conservative Christian Social Union, told his party that combustion engines should be banned by 2035. He described climate change as one of the biggest problems in history. Markus Söder, Bavarian state premier, who is thought to be a dark horse in the race to succeed Angela Merkel as chancellor, told his party at a virtual conference on Saturday that combustion engines should be banned by 2035. Forbes is right when it says even renewables are bigger in Texas. This year, the Electric Reliability Council of Texas, or ERCOT, the electric grid that services about 90% of Texas electricity, is scheduled to add almost as much as wind as it did in the past 5 years, combined almost triple its solar capacity. Yes, in 2020, the grid operators' latest figures indicate that they expect by the end of the year to have 31,069 megawatts of wind and 6,035 megawatts of solar on the system, up from 23,860 and 2,281 megawatts of wind and solar at the end of 2019. Texas has long been a leader in wind power, but it is quickly catching up on solar. The ERCOT interconnection queue, which shows the latest list of projects that are trying to connect to the system, is in fact dominated by solar projects. Almost 77,000 megawatts of solar projects are in some stage of connecting to the grid. For reference, the all-time high peak power demand at ERCOT is just shy of 75,000 megawatts. Not all projects in the interconnection queue will get built, but the amount of solar, 76,961 megawatts, and wind of 25,886 megawatts, and energy storage of 17,436 megawatts versus natural gas in the queue does give a snapshot of what types of projects that investors see as most worth looking at. That's it for the Hot Energy News, brought to you by Coben Systems and SPI ESI North America Smart Energy Week. Sign Watts. SPI has gone virtual, and Coben Systems is the brains behind the smartest electrical panel in the world, simply genius. Watts is the power electronics company that will revolutionize vehicle-to-grid technology. Revolution is here. Thank you for joining us. Feel free to like, comment, share, and follow, and we will see you soon.